Vice President Kamala Harris laughing after a reporter asked if she plans to visit the border. Watch.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today, but I have before, and I'm sure I will again. We were left with a very challenging situation. We've got to treat this issue in a way that is reflective of our values as Americans and do it in a way that is fair and is humane.
Joining me now is Art Del Cueto. He is National Border Patrol Council Vice President. Art, I know we've seen a lot of that laughing comment by the Vice President, but there's something about it that just gets under the skin, and it must get under your skin more than most people because you see firsthand, day after day, what's going on the border.
Well, you know, I was born out here on the border. I grew up here. I work here. I've been here my whole life, and I can tell you right now that nothing was inherited for this administration other than good policies. Those policies were removed, and that is why we are where we're at today. And that's what's upsetting. The reason we are in the position that we are right now with the issues on the border is because the current administration removed policies that worked and did not replace them with anything to help out.
And, you know, we are even the mainstream media, which had been openly pro-Biden in leading up to the election, through the inauguration, and pretty much up until now. Even they are beginning to push back. We've seen people like Martha Raddatz on the border talking to immigrants who say, we wouldn't have come under Donald Trump. We came under Biden because we knew we were going to get let off. We knew we were going to be welcomed with everything they had. So it clearly is now, it's impossible for them to make the claim. I'm amazed that they still do, that they were left with nothing, which in fact they were left with a plan that was working and came in without any plan of their own.
Yeah, right. And what the reality of it is now, looking at the situation and how severe it is, more than likely the only possibility to fix the problem and start steering this ship in the right direction is by actually going back to the policies that were used under the last administration. And you have to take note that, look, there's a lot of unaccompanied juveniles coming through. They're being held. They're over capacity at the detention facilities. And where are all those movie stars and people that were caring and they were speaking out against everything?
Forget about it.
Now it shows even more so. They never cared about it. The only thing they cared about was their hatred towards President Trump at the time.
Exactly. You know, it's not just you. There are a lot of other people that are at the border have had enough with what's going on here. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick responded to Kamala Harris, but he also talked about why this situation right now and their so-called solutions to the problems are even worse than they were during Obama-Biden. Just take a listen and get your response.
She's laughing, the DHS secretary is lying, and the president, he's lost. He's just lost on this issue. And think about this when they talk about there isn't a crisis. They just announced they're going to spend $86 million to put people up in hotels along the border. Well, if you do the math, based on the reports, that's 1,200 people. That works out to about $70,000 per person per 6 months. I guess you get free breakfast, you get late checkout, and you get citizenship with that. They're laughing about it because they're not taking it seriously.
Art, you know, I can't help but think of the National Guardsmen that were ringed around the Capitol building, who were forced to sleep on floors, while these immigrants who, you know, are in a tragic situation themselves, no doubt, but at the same time, $70,000 a year for hotel rooms. What do you think of that?
You know, and added to that, they're paying probably close to $4,000 apiece in order to cross into the United States. So at the same time that the United States are using taxpayer money for this, the criminal cartels, the drug smugglers, all these individuals that, you know, the criminal element, they're making close to $4,000 per each of these individuals that they're allowing to cross through their territory into the United States.
That's
what people need to look at.
And Texas Governor Abbott says that 100%, I don't know if he can really be that certain, but he says 100% of the people who are moved across the border right now are in some way being taken there by the cartel. Because not only does the cartel make a lot of money from the human trafficking, but they can also then distract border officials from their drug running. So they're planning all of this. Have you seen the same thing down at the border?
That's, like I said, I've been here my whole life. That's exactly correct. The southern border is run a lot by these cartels. They're the ones that you have to pay some kind of tariff. The people smuggling organizations got to pay some tariff in order to come through their territory. It's a bonanza for the criminal cartels right now.
You know, I just saw I don't know if we can rerun that video that we just saw, because it has that familiar T-shirt that a lot of these immigrants are wearing. Biden let us in. Who's paying for all that stuff? Is that from the cartel? Is that from groups down in Mexico, international groups? Do you know who's paying for not just their trip over, but the paraphernalia that they're wearing?
You know, at this point, I don't know who's paying for it. I don't really think I really care who's paying for it. You know, it's not one political party issue. People need to be smart, use some common sense, and realize that regardless of what side of the aisle you're at, American people are paying for that. They're paying a very big price, and the future of our country is going to pay an even bigger price if something isn't done, and done soon.
And Art, it is our country that's going to pay the price, but there's also a price being paid by the most defenseless, by the kids that are being brought in. Tell us about their situation now. Is there any sign of light at the end of that tunnel for them, or are they going to be stuck in these camps for months?
You know, it is heartbreaking, and when you're seeing these unaccompanied juveniles, they're being turned over to other entities. But one thing that, you know, I've been questioning for quite some time is the parents of these children. Why haven't we heard from the parents of these children reaching out to the consulates of their country, reaching out to our country, wondering where their kids are?
You know, that's an extraordinarily good question. And my wife says exactly the same thing. What's the answer to that, Art? Why aren't we hearing from them?
More than likely because a lot of them are already here. They've been here illegally for quite some time. But at the end of the day, if an American citizen turns over their child and abandons them to a criminal element, I think the American citizen faces strict criminal consequences for that. And I think we need to start looking into the same thing for these individuals for releasing or turning over their children to a criminal element.
By the way, I was going to use it for another segment. I'm wondering if producers can put it up, that Time magazine cover. I'm sure folks out there will remember from 2018. There it is. This is a totally doctored photo, which is shameful of Time to do that and represent it as a real thing. But there's a crying child looking up at President Trump, and he's looking down with sort of a nonchalance. It says, "Welcome to America" there. Doesn't this better befit what's going on right now with President Biden?
No, it definitely does, and it brings me back to my original statement. A lot of these people that were, you know, on their soapbox screaming about the issues, they really didn't care about the issues. All they did was they cared about the hatred towards one man, and it's sickening.
I think you're right, particularly with so many people are suffering so terribly. And again, the suffering here in the United States is just beginning. Art Del Cueto, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you do as well. Just ahead, the national